Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all to this pivotal session on circular design, reality versus challenges at this Bangladesh Circular Economy Summit. My name is Khalid, and I'm one of the director of Bangladesh Apparel Exchange, and I'm honored to moderate our today's discussion. In our global quest for sustainability, circular design has emerged as a critical component. It's a philosophy aimed at eliminating waste, extending the life cycle of our product, and rejuvenating our natural ecosystem. For Bangladesh, as one of the second largest apparel exporter in this whole world, embracing circular practice and design is not just an environmental necessity, but also a strategic imperative to remain competitive in this global market. However, while the potential is vast, there are tons of challenges as well. Complex material blends hinder recycling, perceive high costs deter manufacturers, and there is a significant gap on skill sets for the designers. Addressing these issues will require collaborative efforts, investment in skills, and supportive policies. Today, we have a distinguished panel of experts who will share their insights and experience on these pressing issues. Our esteemed panelists are Mr. Abrar Sayem, Director of BGMEA and founder of Merchant Bay; Mr. Monower Hossain, Head of Sustainability at Team Group; Mr. Mustafain Munir, President of CYCLO Recycle Fibers; Mr. Dewan Nurul, Chemical and Environmental Manager at BESTSELLER. Each of our panelists brings wealth of knowledge and experience, and their perspective will provide us with a comprehensive understanding of the realities and challenges to the circular design. Let's start the discussion, starting with Abrar Sayem. As a leader in the garments industry, being involved with this sector for a long time, and also a founder of a R&D sourcing platform, how do you see the future of circular apparel design evolving in Bangladesh and beyond?
Thank you for having me here. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, circular design is a present now. I don't really it's not a long, short future. It's something that we are already adopting around the world. So for us as a manufacturing nation, we have to pedal up and catch up with this and stay at par at least, if not ahead, in terms of how we can be involved in the circularity. And as this session is corely about the circular design, which is one of the preliminary stage, because that's where you design on how to bring the circular economy into your products, I feel there is a lot the manufacturing nation can do. There are a lot of challenges as well, which I'm sure in this discussion we will be bringing out, and following through I'll be discussing about that too. But it is standardized right now how every designs are being incentivized to have the circularity. And if I may break it in terms like simpler, like circular designs or designs that can have recycle factor into it, that can have the sustainable factor into it, that can have the longevity, even the products that's designed to stay longer than a regular lifespan of that particular product. That also is a kind of circular design, the kind of participating in the circular economy, because that takes us to lesser waste, lesser cycle of production, so that benefits in many ways to the environment and wastage and raw materials as well. Not only that, the future even looks much more solid and solvent, because the mindset of the Gen Zs and the emerging generations, they are more embedded with the need of circularity and sustainability in their minds. So that means that we will see that convert into the purchasing behavior. So as we will be seeing more and more consumer dictating the circularity, that's when us, the value players in the supply chain, will be adopting this more, because that's the push that drives the most other than any other factor. So the consumer factor will be pushing this, and the advancement of technology is adding on to this. Now using machine learning, we can figure out how to do lesser wastage when producing. With AI, what are the current exact trends that we need to pick on so that we can minimize wastage again. So I feel the future is very, very strong for circular design, and us as a manufacturing hub, as an industry who's the pioneer of manufacturing, who's the economic driver for the country, needs to adopt, and the importance to it is significantly higher. So platforms like this where we collaborate, platform that I'm building like Merchant Bay, which is a collaborative platform between buyers, designers, and manufacturers. We are working a lot in terms of promoting designs that has that circular factor in it. Promoting textiles, a lot of R&D is getting into textiles and raw materials and being incentivized as well. Promoting them so that manufacturers can use those, be informed, and take informed decisions. So I would say that about the future is very, very prominent, strong, and it's now the time we adopt and figure out how we pass through the challenges.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abrar, for sharing your insights and shed lights on the future of circularity, and the opportunity lies on circular design. So let's hear from Mr. Monower Hossain and go more deeper into the context. As a be part of the Bangladesh, one of the top manufacturer in the country, and also leading the sustainability efforts of a team group. So my question to you would be, how can circularity be integrated into design and development of apparel products? And what are the challenges do you foresee in this integration? Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Khalid. First of all, thanks Bangladesh Apparel Exchange for organizing the second Circular Economy Forum. So when you talk about circularity, I think if we look into the principle of circularity, is one is design out waste, and the second part is regenerate the natural system, and the third part is keeping the materials and waste in use. So from that perspective, we have developed our own sustainability strategy for year 2030. And our major goal by 2030 is to reduce consumption of materials, and most importantly, enhance sustainable material mix up to 50%. So from that perspective, we have developed our strategic plan, and whenever we go for sourcing raw materials, we look for materials that are made of like sustainable materials, recycled materials. For instance, if I just note about the material consumption of 2022 and 2020, we have enhanced our recycled cotton consumption up to 21%, and recycled polyester consumption up to 58%. Having said that, even if we look into our way of doing business, or in Team Group, one of our unique selling points is we don't invest for new buildings or new factories. So we always try to buy the dead factories, the factories who are not performing. We take them over and make them sustainable. So I think the thread of recycling or circularity is at the very basic of our business principle. Looking into the liquid waste, not looking only into the textile waste, but we also look into the liquid waste. We also look into textile materials, plastic, paper waste, everything. So we have a two-way approach. One is we look into upstream mechanism, meaning that as much as waste can be reduced in the process. And second thing is when we are coming up with some post-industrial waste or pre-consumer waste, how to make recycling, upcycling, or downcycling. So in our 6 factories, we have jacket factories, we have knit dyeing factories, we have denim factories. So we have our production facilities spread over all sort of product. I mean, apart from just lingerie, we do everything. So what we are doing in our knit dyeing factory, we have two sort of waste. One is like liquid waste. So we have our ETP. We are now trialing ZLD to ensure that we are reusing the wastewater after reverse osmosis and other processes. We also have come up with a lot of empty drums. We have partnered with Clarichem, one of the company, and we reuse those chemical drums. We also come up with sludges. We send it to one of the brick fields where it's being reused or upcycled. And we are also looking into machines and technologies. Whenever we buy any machines, we look for its water footprint, because we have seen that the consumers are continuously asking for water footprint, carbon footprint, and other environmental footprints of the product that they source from us. From the textile and from the RMG waste perspective, what we did is we did a detailed inventory of all sort of waste. Then we tried to look into the waste that are recyclable. So we have partnership with Recycle Exchange, and we have also partnership with reverse resources. So we are sending our pre-consumer waste to them, and in turn, they're also giving us the traceability that we need. We have one of our jacket factory whereby we're using mostly man-made fibers, blended fibers, fabrics, coated fabrics. So we are a bit challenged in this particular area, but still we are working as to how we can go for recycling of this man-made fiber-based fabrics. Another point is, I think it's also about attitude. We do have our goals and we have our mindset to go for recyclability, but then again, in many cases, we don't have that much of freedom of choosing the right sort of fibers, because brands play a pivotal role here. We have to go to the suppliers who are nominated by brands. And also the designers of the Western world. I mean, designers who are sitting in Europe, they actually doesn't look into the environmental footprint of the fabrics they may be using. So 80% of the impact are pre-decided in the design phase. So our scope of playing around is like 20%. So I think it cannot be only the manufacturer's call. I think it's more of a collaboration that Mustafain sir was saying in the morning. So it has to be looked into all possible angle. So we are trying our best to close the loop, if possible within our premises, if not possible within our country, or if not possible, at least within the region. I think this is in a nutshell that we are doing in the area of circular economy or material mix. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monower, for sharing your insights on, real insights on how a manufacturer is embracing circularity on the ground. So now my question would be to, we have heard from manufacturing association, manufacturers. Now I'm gonna ask a question to Mr. Mustafain Munir. As one of the leading textile recycler company in this world, CYCLO, I have asked a similar question to Sayem before, but would love to hear more about your perception and your envision about the future of circular design in the textile industry as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So we've been in the physical practice of recycling, so in the circularity business now for about 12 years. So we have a real-world experience and data on supply chain and sales and consumption of recycled materials, and feedback from customers and buyers. So when we talk about the future of circular design, I think it's becoming more increasingly important to discuss specific time frames, because we have these theoretical discussions every few months. So the near-term future, let's say 5 years, I don't see much happening. For the next 10, 20 years, let's say, maybe we can be more optimistic. So first of all, let's establish our timelines. The second point here, Abrar brother, he pointed out about Gen Z, and Gen Z claiming to want materials that are more sustainably sourced or circular practices. And that information, I believe, is starting to fall apart. In polls, in social media posts, they are more than happy to claim that they want circular designs and circular materials. But if you follow the money, they don't seem to be backing up those claims. For example, the largest apparel company or brand retail in the world, there's Inditex, but the one that's about to eclipse Inditex is called Shein. Shein is a Chinese company, and their sales are tremendous. So they've quickly, in the last 5, 6 years, become one of the top 5 largest retailers in the world. They don't care about circularity. They don't care about sustainability. And Gen Z's consumers are buying these items like hotcakes. So I think we have to take a realistic look on what is circular by design and what is fashionable and sellable. Incorporating these two is going to be the biggest task ahead of us as an industry in Bangladesh and a textile industry as a whole. I don't know if that answered your question.
Okay. Cool. So thank you, Munir, for sharing some real concern and also some challenges lies in this industry if we would like to embrace circularity in this whole value chain. So we would like to hear more about from the brand's perspective. So here today, Dewan Nurul Islam is with us from BESTSELLER. So could you please share and some more insight about the challenges lies in terms of embracing circularity in this whole apparel supply chain, and how BESTSELLER is collaborating with its suppliers to promote circular fashion?
Yeah, thank you. So now circularity is a reality in the industry, and we are part of a pilot. For the last 3 years, we are working with different stakeholders. But basically, from our side, we started before this pilot. So here, Simco is here, Reverse Resources is here, and initially, we started with our 1 or 2 suppliers just to see basically how it moves. So in terms of challenges, actually, I was following up the previous plenaries, and I think considering the industry, what is the reality we are facing this already, we have heard from different distinguished plenaries. But I can add few more things also here. This is in general also like awareness about this circularity and what is the potential of being circular. So this is what from our side we feel still it's missing. So I think here it is a very good opportunity. A lot of industry leaders are here. So we need to basically start thinking about this, and then I think this will help us to have an action plan to move forward. And another thing is, as our industry is working for a long period of time, so we think that something has been kind of culture and has been kind of a part of a society that, okay, these sort of things will move like this way. But we need to basically have the disruption, and we need to think, what about the necessity of time? And in terms of the challenges in the ground, basically, whenever we are engaging our suppliers with us, whenever we are communicating with our factories, whenever we are asking them to segregate the waste from where it is being generated, to have the separate storage, to hand over to the competent party, then this is technically is not a challenge, but it requires a huge time to have that shift in the mindset, to have that proper action plan in the factory. And that's why we are not able to achieve the traceability and transparency, basically, what is happening right now. So in this regard, I appreciate that study already. Actually, I think from our side, we'll study a lot and we'll find out actually what is happening in the entire industry. This will help. And another challenge is in terms of technology. So what actually in terms of mechanical segregation, now we are capable to manage basically, we can say the cotton wastage. But most of our fabrics are blended and having different compositions. So this is what another area we need to look at in terms of technology. How we can handle this, how we can have viable solution for other type of cottons, other type of wastage apart from the cottons. So from our experience, I think we have been working for last 4 years, and this is what basically you observe from our side. But from our side, we also believe that over the time, we need to move in circular direction. And we believe there is no other alternative. And it is having different perspectives. But as a brand, we believe we need to move that direction. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Nurul Islam. So I'm going to start from where Mr. Nurul Islam just ended. So Mr. Mustafain Munir, so once again come back to you. So Nurul has mentioned about the challenge regarding the technology. So would love to hear more from you. How mature are the recycling technologies right now worldwide? And is the recycling industry ready to support shift from linear to circular apparel production?
The short answer is no. And the short answer is that in certain aspects we're mature, in some other aspects we're very immature. The example, so there's mechanical recycling and chemical recycling. I'm pretty sure that's been touched upon. Mechanical recycling has been around for 50, 60 years. It's just recently that we've improved the qualities as such as we can actually upcycle the fibers back into fashionable items rather than downcycle it into insulation materials. But that being said, you can do that for a small percentage of the very good waste. And luckily in Bangladesh, we have a decent amount of that. So when it comes to the blended waste and the, let's say, even the monomaterial waste that is in a different structure, chemicals recycling still has a ways to go in terms of scaling up. The unfortunate example would have been Renewcell, which they have the brand name CYCLO. They had set up the first scaled chemical recycling facility in Sweden. They went, had an initial product offering. Their share price went from $80 to 80 cents. They went bankrupt a couple of months ago. Luckily, their assets have been acquired by a different company. And the simple reason that they were not successful is because they didn't have enough sales. They did not have enough sales because the price was too high, despite commitments from brands to purchase the fiber. When it came down to actually purchasing the fiber, it was too expensive and didn't fit into the buyer's price model. So how do we replicate, or how do we learn from these things and move on? When it comes to specifically in the recycling process, this is going to take a while. Once you go from fabric, you can go to fabric to fiber mechanically, you can do it chemically, but what the buyers or the customers want is it to be almost as good or pretty much the same as the virgin form. There are chances, there are technologies in the pipeline, in pilot stage of production, but not at scale production, close to scale production, different phases of the production process, and addressing different needs in terms of separation of fibers, and then recovery of fibers basically into usable components. And there are technologies that show that some of them can do it to a virgin, if not even better virgin quality. The problem with them is going to be price initially. The solution usually to bring down prices is scale, but scale has always worked in linear models. Scale has been untested in circular models. So there's a fundamental economic problem here with that. What I'm talking about that is you have your raw material supply. If I need, you know, a million tons of cotton, I can get a million tons of cotton. If I need a million tons of 100% used cotton t-shirts, there's no guarantee I can get that. So there are a lot of issues to address with the technology side of it, and we have to temper our expectations. We also have to look at the processes which make it expensive, and the processes that are related to environmental impacts. Like, if you look at the textile or garments life cycle, about 20%, 25% of its carbon and water usage is in the fiber and yarn preparation stage. About 36% of the adverse environmental impact comes from the dyeing and finishing stage. So to go from a colored textile material, let's say in a circular model, or in a circular model, if you're using used inputs, be it post-consumer and pre-consumer, you can have a low impact in mechanical recycling to convert into fiber, so that saves a lot. But if you want to convert that back into a fiber that's ready to dye again, you are going to be implementing that 36% of carbon and water usage back in the material preparation stage. It can be a bit confusing. I can refer you to some studies, but that adds carbon emissions, that adds water, and that adds cost. So these issues are going to need some serious considerations. There are technologies, again, that are trying to address these issues, but we're still a ways away from those being economically viable.
Thank you, Munir. Thank you. So we have heard about the challenges of licensing the recycling technologies, but still there is hope. Like the technologies improvement is still on the process. So we shouldn't give up our hope. And brands from brand end, they are also taking a lot of initiatives to take it forward. From manufacturing end, we are seeing they are also cooperative to incorporate circular practices into their manufacturing facilities. But all our efforts will go in vain if we don't see demand from the consumer end. So let's get back to Mr. Dewan Nurul Islam once again. From a representative of one of the top brands in the world, so how do you perceive the consumer mindset towards circular fashion? Are consumers ready to pay a premium for circular apparel? What would be your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think in general we have some perception about consumer awareness. And sometimes we see that Gen Z is evolving, Gen Z is coming, they are going to pay more or something like this. But it is mixed, I can say, from our experience, because as brand, we are having our business with the wholesalers, and actually what we basically, we are getting the feedback that yes, consumers are more aware about this circularity, sustainability, but it's a question whether they are ready to pay now or something like this. So from bestseller side, we expect that this awareness will increase among the consumers, and it will be a business case for all the stakeholders, and this circularity will move forward. But to answer your question, yes, it's a really challenging. What actually Mr. Mustafain already mentioned, that as brand, when we are going to sell, basically we don't experience that much of eagerness from the consumer side. So it is not a matter of one brand. It is not matter of one country or something like this. I think circularity, sustainability, these are the things are required to save our planet. So I think from our side, wherever we are, we need to try to raise the awareness, and we need to try to develop that business cases. Then I think it will move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Nurul. So let's get back to Mr. Abrar once again. So as you are one of the director of BGMEA, and BGMEA also works as a bridge between manufacturers and brands in our country. So I would like to know more about what are the activities or action BGMEA can facilitate for the manufacturers and support them to scale up circular initiatives in the country. So yeah, thank you.
All right. So I'll get to this question, but first I wanted to add with the ongoing discussion that's going on in terms of consumer willing to pay. Like, we understand that Gen Z and all are having the mindset, having the understanding that circularity, sustainability, these are important, but are they willing to pay for that? I mean, I don't think no one's ever willing to pay higher for anything. Like, the mentality for winning while buying is by paying less. So that's something that's inbuilt, and we can't expect that to change right away. But it's a game of marketing, actually, not by telling lies, but actually speaking up the truth in a more influential way. And that's where we need to collaborate a lot. And this will be a gradual change, not an overnight change that we show them. We can show them information to make them accept why it's important, but to make them habituated to pay more for this is a process. And we must not give up, and we must continuously be doing, like, for example, the Shein example, like, they're selling cheap shit product, like mind my word, but that's what they're doing, right? But the social pressure of circularity and this are still also there, because hence you see recently they have launched a platform to sell second-hand product of their own. I mean, their product already have a less lifetime, and they are doing for second-hand sale, which means the pressure of bringing circularity is there, and that's what we can expect, that psychological behavioral change might be coming up. So yeah, so that's what I want to add in terms of the mindset. And to do that, now getting to your question, to make that happen, there's a lot to be done in terms of the policy level as well, where associations like BGMEA and international associations, bodies, regulatory bodies, all should be collaborating to work together in terms of setting up those policies. Like, for example, in locally, if we say that if we want to promote more of recycling and circularity, we can work on our local policies even, where we are actually looking into and talking about it already, that if you want to buy local wastage, there is a VAT you pay. And then you transfer that into recycled product and sell that, there is a VAT again you pay. So there is, like, for bringing this recycled factor into the value chain of product, there's a double VAT you're paying, so which comes around like maybe 7% and then again 15% when selling. So this addition of cost, we cannot then competitively promote recycling and circularity from our country. So to do that, we have to incentivize manufacturers to be able to promote recycled product, circular product at a like competitive price as well. So we have to understand that competitiveness, that is very important. Then that is one of the core work BGMEA and BTMA and the associations over here is pursuing. Also, stronger collaboration with international regulatory bodies, which summits like this is encouraging, is very much important to bring in grants, to bring in funds, to collaborate with international funds, which can promote the R&Ds that's required for the manufacturers to invest and get this into the system. There are many brands now having funds where they're investing into innovative ideas and incubating them. So those are the things we need to bring more for our manufacturers. So initiatives like those are much more important to get this rolling and to get this into reality.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing some really important insights. So we are almost at the end of our discussion. So before ending our discussion, let's end our conversation with a positive note. So I'm going back to Mr. Monower Hossain once again. So Mr. Monower, as be a representative of a leading manufacturing in the country, we'd like to know more about some best practices you follow at your facilities regarding managing waste at the team group. So which actually other companies can follow. So would love to know more about it.
Thank you, Khalid. I just want to flag one simple point, actually. I mean, whatever we do in the vicinity of, in the area of sustainability or circularity, I mean, one of the major reasons of making all these strides is to reduce environmental footprint. And while we are growing, we have to decouple the growth curve from the resource consumption curve, meaning doing more with less. So keeping that principle in mind, doesn't matter whatever we do, it cannot be always regulation in my mind, because you see, in environmental science, I'm a student of environmental science. So in environmental science, we studied one thing called LCA, life cycle assessment. So what is a life cycle assessment? It's pretty much like a cost-benefit analysis that we do in economics, for instance. So what it looked into is, for instance, a report says that if we can adopt circularity across the whole value chain of textile, it will reduce our carbon footprint up to 10%. So keeping that in mind, if we are to invest in chemical-based recycling plants, which is very energy-galloping plants, and more importantly, if we have a recycling plant, for instance, in Sweden or in Finland, and if we have to send all this waste all the way to Sweden or in Finland, what is the associated logistic carbon footprint of these things? So I don't think that is always about regulation. It always has to be the common sense, and it always has to be in your culture, in your mindset. I think that is more important. Apart from that, another point I want to add is when we design a product, we always come for, if you look into athleisure or even denim nowadays, is blend of so much of fibers. So if we prepare a fabric which is not fundamentally recyclable, how do we close the loop? So there are some fundamental flaws within the system itself which need to be addressed first before we make any stride. And the third point is, when we look into the fashion industry is heavily controlled by the consumers. So if we go for recycled materials, even if we look for any sustainable materials, for instance, nowadays we are talking about coffee oils instead of petrochemical chips, and so many other sustainable sources of materials. But if you blend 40% recycled materials, have you thought about it? How designer will fulfill the demand of the consumers? So we have so many inherent challenges that needs to be looked for. But then again, if we have the mindset, I think we can definitely address the challenge and we can make the good. But then again, the root cause has to be kept in front, not just running behind circular economy. Do what is best, do what is doable. And as Abrar sir was saying that, we have to look into a proper business case. Because what does it make if, after all this initiative that the manufacturers are doing, if it's not being paid, if it's not being appreciated in value terms, it's not going to be a business case. And if it's not going to be a business case, that's not going to help the root cause. So to answer Khalid's last question, what we are doing, a few things we tried from Team Group. For instance, last year, we used to share goodie bags during New Year's. So we prepare all the goodie bags made from the denim waste, from one of our denim factories that we did. And currently, from our jacket manufacturing factory, we are developing a CSR project with SNV, whereby we'll be using the leftover fabrics and cut fabrics to make PPEs for the waste handlers of the different municipalities. We also are trying to develop a market-based solution whereby the jute can be upcycled, because especially the man-made fibers are not yet that much evident that are recyclable, and the broad diversity of the fabrics are also one of the impediments of doing so. So I think it's all about we are trying. We yet have to go a long way. But before running into a dark road, I think we need proper data and proper understanding to shed lights to lead us to the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monower. I think we are still on time, and we could take 2 questions from the audience. So if anyone would like to ask any question to our esteemed panelists, so please raise your hand.
We have someone at that corner on the left. Can someone take a mic to him? Please introduce yourself before asking the question.
Hello, this is Rahat from Stanley Stella. So I have a couple of questions. So first question is that let's say the prospect of recycled polyester factory in Bangladesh. So is there any factory right now? And the second question is about the technical feasibility of cotton blend. So let's say more than 50% recycled cotton in blend. Yeah, thank you.
I think that's for me. Salgarale.
Yeah, and try to keep it short.
Okay, sorry. No, 70, they're a very good company. Yeah, so more than 50% recycled cotton. It is possible for coarser counts. If you use chemically recycled cotton, you can increase it. If you add an additional process, which adds some costs, you can also increase it above 50% in certain cases. The quality is the issue. I didn't hear the recycled polyester part. If you were to, there was a question part of recycled polyester?
Yeah, so regarding the recycled polyester, so question is that the prospect of production of recycled polyester in Bangladesh.
For textiles or textile recycled polyester?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. There's a company now, Swedish and New York collaboration called Syre, S-Y-R-E. They're trying to make a facility for textile to textile polyester. Initial results on textile to textile polyester using pre-consumer waste were iffy. the fiber strength is not as good as even recycled polyester from PET bottles. But I really think in terms of circularity, textile recycled polyester should be the biggest focus and actually could have the most potential, because when you're dealing with petrochemicals and man-made fibers, you have a lot more opportunity to play with the chemistry.
Okay, I think we are running out of time. So thank you to all our panelists for their valuable insight and all of you for participating in this panel session. Today's discussion highlighted the immense potential and challenges into the circular design in fashion industry. So let's take this insight back to our organization and work towards more sustainable future in fashion. Together we can drive forward a more future in the industry. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.